Well, she's a young aspiring racer who's spent half the season racing a sprint car and the other half working on a sprint car for her older brother. We're going to be talking to Carly Holmes about what the plans are moving forward as far as her racing schedule is concerned and what some of the tracks she liked when she was in the Midwest and much, much more. That's coming up next here on Getting Up to Speed after these messages. Dave's Home Supply specializes in cabinets, flooring, and countertops. Visit their website at daveshomesupply.com to look at products, services, financing, and even a free estimate. Are you looking for bookkeeping, payroll, or income tax services? Then check out the folks at For You Simple Bookkeeping. They are a licensed tax preparer throughout the entire United States. For more information, click on the link in the description. This broadcast is brought to you by Meat Freaks Jerky Club. Get the best jerky the world has to offer straight to your door by visiting meatfreaksjerkyclub.com. Pick your box and plan, tell them where to ship, and receive and enjoy. Log on to meatfreaksjerky.com and use promo code SPEED. Well, she's the pilot of the 22C Sprint car here in the Pacific Northwest, and she's quite the wrencher as well. We're going to be talking to Carly Holmes, and Carly, it's great to have you on the phone and get this interview underway.
Thanks for having me.
Well, Carly, race season is not, it's more like a race life for you and your family because you guys in the outdoor months, the warmer months, you guys are racing sprint cars, you're working on sprint cars or building sprint cars. And then in the wintertime, you guys get into cage kart stuff, whether it's Roseburg or with the Red Bluff Outlaws. It kind of really doesn't have a stop to it at all. It's like one big race season for you guys each year.
Yeah, for sure. I think, we're always go, go, go. Like you said, throughout the summer, we don't really have a break. The only nice thing about the go-karts is with some of the scheduling, we like throughout November or like January, we actually have like 2 weeks off. So we call November and January when we get those 2 weeks off. That's our little, break, vacation time. But it's fun, like you said, we're always go, go, go.
Yeah, definitely. I was looking at my schedule of, pending, God forbid, a rain out of any sort, but someone's like, oh man, you got to be excited. It's almost September. Race season's over. It's like, what are you talking about? Like Red Bluff
Yeah.
is starting in like a little over a month.
Yep.
For you racing, it's been limited a little bit this year. 10 feature starts, 6 top 10s though, 2 top 5s, and a podium finish, which was a second place result on June 10th at Southern Oregon Speedway. Also, your last race was at Speed Week Northwest on Thursday, August 24th, and finished 8th. I mean, the year, even though you haven't been racing that much, it looks like you seem to be having fun as a pilot and doing rather well.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's more of like this year at the beginning, we were just really trying to get me back behind the wheel and, get me comfortable again and kind of just like regroup and relearn everything, especially about, how last year went with my crash and stuff. So the past few races, not running a whole lot. Like I've been super confident in the car, especially we've been learning out some new setup wise and stuff for me just to get comfortable. But yeah, we've definitely had some good runs here and there. And, throughout just kind of this year, we've just been pretty, I would say pretty good.
Well, and I think also your confidence level too is really high as well, and that even spills over to your role as a mechanic on working on these cars. I've just seen your growth; it's been tremendous in the last, even when you were still hurt and having to wear a back brace, your confidence in your work has just been tremendous and growing.
Yeah, I mean, I love working on race cars. I love driving them even more. And I think with me working on my own stuff and working on Tanner's stuff, it actually teaches me so much about the race car to where, like, when I get in it, I kind of know, what's happening and, like, what I need to do to, be better.
And what's a really good asset, I think, as we discuss this, is having a mechanic or a crew chief in your corner that actually races this stuff versus somebody, and that doesn't mean that you can't have a good crew chief that's never raced before, but when you do have somebody that has, you have that connection of when they tell you the car feels like this, exactly, or you have a really good idea of what they're talking about.
Yeah, like when Tanner, when I work on Tanner stuff, and he comes in and he kind of feels like the car is, not just right. We kind of talk it over on kind of what I see, or what I think we could do to be better, or just kind of any changes I think that we could make, to make him feel a little bit more better in the car and just more comfortable.
Well, and how crazy is it when you guys are racing together? You've got, for sprint cars, you guys have two sprint cars showing up in two different transports, and you're working on them and, mending them when they need to be mended, and then all of a sudden the race night's over, and then you do maintenance. It's got to be quite the scene around the place.
Yeah, it's crazy for sure, but at the racetrack, we both work on each other's stuff. Most of the time, you'll see us working on one another's stuff. Like I won't work on my car; he'll work on my car, and I'll work on his. But yeah, it just goes back to just trying to make one another feel comfortable on that race day and talk it over with each other. Because I mean, Tanner and I have always grown up racing with one another and against one another, so we kind of know each other's driving style. We know how one another wants to feel in the car, and what we like to feel out there. And so, but after the racing, the washing aspect is it's a lot to wash when you have tires and two cars.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and going back to your best run this year, second place result, not a lot of 360 experience, and now you're predominantly in 360s exclusively now. And to get a runner-up finish to your older brother Tanner at Southern Oregon Speedway, that had to feel amazing. I know that you wanted to win, but I mean, just a podium finish there, a runner-up finish at that had to feel really good.
Yeah, it's I definitely wanted to win, that's for sure. But I think always, as much as I want to win, running second to him, it makes me feel I'm happy for him. I'm happy to run behind him sometimes because he actually teaches me a lot with his driving style. When he's running the top really hard, and I'm not quite up there yet, but when I run behind him, it makes me want to try harder out there to push my limits just a little bit up top, or on the bottom, or wherever the track's at.
Well, that's a great outlook. You hear so many guys of going to the Midwest and just kind of get it handed to them, but when they're getting passed or even lapped, let's just be honest, that happens, and that they're able to watch the drive, the front row seat of how they operate the car and what their wheel input is and what the reflexes are, and it makes them better overall. Or even just racing
Absolutely.
here, on the West Coast when the World of Outlaws come through, or for a NARC 410 show.
Absolutely. I think I've really always learned, how to, push my limits when I'm always running behind, the fast guys, I would say, or, if I'm ever getting lapped, like I'm always looking at how they're driving or how hard they're running, the track, and really just trying to push themselves.
Well, we touched on it a little bit, for listeners or viewers that don't know. Carly was involved in a pretty serious accident, Independence Day 2022. She was leading the race. It was the white flag, coming to the white flag lap, and tire hopped a car that was going a lap down, and she went barrel rolling into turn one at Cottage Grove. And if you've never been there before, there's no wall, there's no fence, and you end up basically in a dried creek bed. And thankfully, nothing caught on fire, and you were able to be extracted from the car. And that was no doubt a very scary moment for you and your family.
Yeah, I think that was my first thought was, the fire, because I never really blacked out. I kind of watched everything happen in slow motion, but once I stopped flipping and barrel rolling down into the little creek bed, my first thought was I need to get out of here. There's going to be a fire, because I could kind of hear the fuel like slowly spilling out. I heard something leaking. I was thinking it was fuel or oil. And so, yeah, I was for sure thought I was catching on fire, but within the next few minutes, drivers were down to me, and crews and teams and the safety crew all finally got down to me, and it kind of calmed me down and like relieved everything, knowing that like, okay, there's no fire. Like I have time to get out of this car, and I kind of knew that I was in pain in my back, but I think I was just so shocked of like what just happened. More of like, I didn't really feel that much pain in the moment, but yeah, it was definitely a scary crash.
And that healing process is going well. Do you still have to do some follow-ups with orthopedic surgeon or any doctors?
Yeah, so the healing process was good. I only had to wear my back brace for about 3 months, and then it was kind of just still take it easy, wear it if you feel any pain coming on, or if I'm gonna go on like long walks or anything, kind of maybe just wear it, or even at the racetrack. When I was still working on the race car, to wear it just to be safe. But I'm finally out of that thing, and I've had some doctor's appointments here and there, but for the most part, they said that I'm going to be as healed as best as I can get. With where it broke in my back on the vertebrae, I can't really grow muscle. So it's just more of like, keep my body healthy and just trying to stay as strong as I can, to be okay.
Well, and that had to have been a liberating feeling when they said you don't have to wear your back brace anymore, because I'm sure that was not a companion that you wanted to have for a long time.
Yeah, especially in the hot summertime, it was uncomfortable half the time. When it's 98 degrees out, or almost 100, it was definitely a little bit of a pain.
How nerve-wracking was it you getting in a sprint car for the first time since the accident? Like, because I know that you did some kart stuff, so I guess maybe that might be the better question. Getting back in a race car, was there a lot of nervousness going on? Was any fear, or what sort of emotions were flowing through you?
I think I felt very comfortable getting back in a go-kart, just because I think it was also because it was at Roseburg and Red Bluff, the two tracks that I grew up racing in go-karts. So, and there's really good competition at both. I think it actually made me feel a lot more comfortable just to even get in the sprint car after that, because I got some laps under my belt in the go-kart, and just having that like racing mindset going into the sprint car. It was also nice. I got a practice day before I went and did my first 360 race this year. So I think that helped a lot, just trying to get comfortable in the car again.
Well, and how fun has it been to be in the 360s? I mean, the limiteds and the spec sprints that we have around here are fun, but it seems like you're taking a real liking to the 360 program.
Yeah, I love the 360s. It's the only thing I really want to do now, and I think running the 360 makes me want to go run more of the more West Coast things, down in California, Silver Dollar, Placerville, Tulare, Hanford. I think just being in that 360 now, like knowing that I'm going to be in the 360 for good and not just running limited here and there, it makes me want to go run more tracks to kind of learn them and get better and run with a little bit better competition.
Well, that's a great segue to my next question is, your brother is now a full-time World of Outlaw. It's still hard to believe. I'm still processing that. But for you, it looks like it's a perfect opportunity for doors to open for you to get more races in. Is that something that you'd like to do in the near future, is beef up the racing schedule? Or I guess, what's the plans for you moving forward?
Absolutely. I think we're actually going over a schedule here in just a few days, trying to figure out, pick and choose which races I want to run, and that will fit our schedule. Because also, Tanner's doing more of Outlaw stuff, and I want to fly out there and watch him, especially at the big races. But at the same time, I want to race. So I think we're going to go over a schedule and kind of figure out. My next race is at Elma, Washington this Sunday, and then we go and run next Wednesday at Gold Cup, that Wednesday of Gold Cup. So that's the next two races that I have right now. But then after that, we're going to, get back to the planning board and kind of draw out the rest of the season.
And those two tracks, those are a couple of new tracks for you.
Yeah, I believe I haven't ran Elma this year. I ran it last year. It was the opening race. I ran the 360 opening race. And then Silver Dollar, I was at the last year Tyler Wolf Memorial right before it rained out.
Oh, that's right. Yes, I was your crew chief, and then you fired me.
Yes.
Yes.
Yep.
Because I was asking for a diagnostic report. Yes. How could I forget that?
Absolutely.
But no, that's super cool. So, I mean, 2024, look out, Carly Holmes is going to be racing a lot more.
Absolutely. I want to get down to California a lot more, and if Tanner's doing the whole World of Outlaw thing, heck, I might have to go to the Midwest a little bit.
Sure. And as of right now, the plan is for kind of you both, it's going to be sort of status quo for the winter, try and get as many kart races for you, or for you guys, or is it mainly going to be you doing the kart racing?
I think I'm going to try to do all of the Red Bluff races. I know there's a few 360 shows down in California that conflict, I think, with two of the Red Bluff races. So I just got to kind of look at those schedules and see, because, the sprint car races, when you hit like October, November, they might be rain out. So I definitely want to run all of Red Bluff. And then even Roseburg has a few big shows this year. So I think that's kind of the plan, running all of Red Bluff and then hitting the big shows at Roseburg. And then when 360 time comes around again, then we'll hit some more sprint car races.
Oh, yes, the Timber 50. That's such a great event that Kyler Shaw puts on. And for people that don't know, Kyler Shaw, the owner and proprietor of Fast 4 Media, does the coverage for Cycleland, Deming, and, of course, Red Bluff Outlaws, and is now operating Roseburg Outlaws. So that's going to be a lot of fun, I think.
Oh, yeah, and I think he has a lot of good plans for that place, and he's going to take care of it very well. And I think these big shows coming up are going to bring a lot of people. So it should be fun.
And, for folks that have never been to the Red Bluff Outlaws, they need to tune in on Fast 4 or actually go there, because it's an all-day affair. It's a grind, like 12-hour days. However, it's a lot of fun, and you get to see really that sneak peek of upcoming talent that is coming out of the cage carts that go on to do some wonderful things in sprint cars.
Yeah, Red Bluff had a lot of, good people moving up through the levels. And I think this year, I'm already looking at like the 250 division. I'm like, dang, these kids were like beginner box when I was in 250. So
yeah,
I think there's going to be a lot of good kids moving up here soon, and the open class better watch out, because those 250 kids, they're coming.
Yes, I mean, one of them was just the other day driving for Ed Butterfield was Jennifer Osborne from Geyserville. She's been, well, actually she was in an open last year, but was a 250 driver.
Yeah, she's doing good. She ran Silver Dollar, I believe, last weekend, and I think for her, she's just trying to get comfortable, just like everyone else. So.
Yes, and then you look at Marysville, and it's almost like Red Bluff in the summertime, except with sprint cars, with like Brian McGann, and you've got all these, the Homuses, and all these Red Bluff Cycleland ties.
Yep, I would agree. I definitely think Marysville is the sprint car level of Red Bluff, and I think it's only going to get better with competition throughout the next year.
Well, you were hurt. Well, you were still in the healing process over this last winter, and you took on a new role as basically a car owner for your cage kart at Red Bluff. How was that experience? Was there points of frustration or points of enjoyment?
It was full of enjoyment. We learned a lot. I think being a car owner is something that it's a lot for sure, and but it's also a lot of fun, and it actually gave me a really good idea of, or a really good look on what being a car owner would look like in the future. And I think it's definitely something I want to look into, not in the next 2 to 5 years, but after that might be something that I might get myself back into, maybe with a sprint car.
Sure. And, we're listing all these Red Bluff people. Landon Brooks. I mean, for Speed Week Northwest South, like if people don't know about him, which I don't know why they don't know about him already, he's getting more and more well known now.
Yeah, Landon's he's been on a roll, especially during the Western Sprint Tour. I think he had 3 wins or 2 wins, but a bunch of top 5s. I know that, and I believe he won the championship of, what was it, the North one or the South one?
The South one, yeah.
The South one, yeah. So he was on a roll, and he's definitely really good, and I can't wait to watch him at Red Bluff this year if he plans to run it. I think he'll be someone that you better watch out for.
Well, and this is a driver, he just has that confidence of, all right, we had a good run, and like within a month span, they've won 4 races, which is incredible. I mean, it's just It's wild.
And that's really good, I think, and super, super happy for him, and, proud of how far he's come, especially, not doing a whole lot of sprint car races, just kind of throughout the past few years now. So.
Well, this upcoming race that you're going to be at Elma, it's no doubt going to be interesting, because you haven't been in a car for a little bit, but I mean, even when you came back for the Speed Week deal, it looked like you didn't miss a beat, like, because you went through a long period of time of not driving, and then you guys went on your Midwest trip, And how fun was that to even though you were in the role of a crew member, how fun was it to go to all these different places and some of them new places for you and the team?
Oh, it was a blast. It was long days and long nights, and it was stressful, a lot of the time. But it was for sure. I enjoyed every little bit of it. It actually like I learned so much, at all these different tracks for even just like setup wise, and I just learned a lot that I could actually bring back out here for my team and help Tanner out a little bit. And I think that was just a big like learning curve for everybody, especially when you're at Knoxville. You're learning a half mile compared to our 3/8 out here. So it was a bunch of fun. I learned a lot, and it like I said, I learned so much. I actually could use it out here a little bit.
And what would you say was some of your couple of top tracks that you really enjoyed going to?
I think Knoxville was for sure, one of them. I also really enjoyed Benton Speedway. It's down in Missouri or down in Kansas. It reminded me of home almost. It's a smaller track, very high banking, but that was a lot of fun to watch Tanner, run around that place.
So we're not working on race cars, we're not at the races, and you're not driving race cars. What does Carly Holmes like to do away from the racetrack that's non-racing related?
Um, I don't really do a whole lot when I'm not at the racetrack. I'm working for my parents at their construction business, or I'm kind of just working in the garage. I mean, there's not too much I do besides racing related.
Oh, that's really cool. That's really cool because it all to do something where it all entwines and comes together. That's important, and you can get good networking
Yeah,
and kind of turn it into a career.
yeah, for sure. And I'm still in school. It's my last. I graduate in the end of January a little bit, so it'll give me a little more time to kind of work in the shop and prepare. Because I would say probably November through like February, March ish is kind of like our off season, and then you kind of start up with sprint cars again. So we only have a few months to prepare for the off season, and when it's off season for sprint cars, at least we're doing go karts, so we're still pretty busy. But you still got to build your car and get it ready. So always busy with that.
Well, it's always a great time to catch up and chat with you and your whole family. For viewers that don't know, Stephanie was really close with you and your mom and Tanner and Carissa and John, your dad John, and it's so cool how for her and I's kids, Jen and Grant, how you guys are like cousins or even an aunt and uncle to them.
Yeah, love the little kids. I grew up around those two a lot, so I love them to death. They're really fun and good kids.
Awesome. And people that you want to thank that have made all this possible, or any sponsors you want to acknowledge before I let you go?
I would just like to thank Rush Race Gear. They provide all my safety equipment, and then we have ABC Powder Coating, or RTR Diesel Performance, Ed Boyd Racing, D-Ray Designs, Eartha Environmental, and then just my family, our team, everyone who works so hard. My dad, my brother, and then my mom and sisters. Everyone plays a big role in it. So thank everyone for that.
Oh, and upcoming news as far as like a schedule changes or results, or if they want to get apparel from you. What are some good? Is there a good website or a good social media page?
Yeah, so just Carly Holmes Racing on either YouTube or Facebook, and then just Carly Holmes. I have Instagram or any of those social medias, and then for merchandise, it's just www.tannerholmes.or/shop, and you can find my merchandise there. You can find his merchandise. He has some pretty cool merch that just came out about his World of Outlaw car. So all the merchandise is there, and any schedule updates or changes will also be there.
Awesome. Well, it's been great catching up with you, and I'm so glad that the healing process is going good and that also you're going to be racing a lot more.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Well, that is going to do it for this interview. We hope you enjoyed it. Be sure and hit the like and subscribe button on whatever platform you found this interview at. It really helps us grow the channel, and we greatly appreciate it. In the meantime, We'll be back with more content and interviews in the future. Be sure and have a great evening or a great rest of your day, whatever time you're listening.